In today's podcast episode, we're going to be talking about how to set expectations in a relationship. If you're anything like me, you work hard for your family, you're a busy man, and you sometimes don't feel like your partner understands you. If your wife is like my wife, she's a stay-at-home mother, I feel like at times her life is easy. She's just got to look after the kids, keep the house clean, and cook. Pretty simple, right? And I feel like she doesn't understand everything I am doing in my business. If you can relate to any of that, then you will know how much tension that can cause in your relationship. It can cause arguments, it can cause resentment, and you both are left feeling like neither person understands, and you both feel like the other person should get to know you better instead of taking responsibility. So I'm gonna share with you 5 ways that you can fix that. If you want better communication, if you want better sex, if you want better connection with your partner so that you can be more successful in your business, your marriage, and the rest of your life, then you're gonna wanna watch this video all the way through. At the end as well, I'm gonna show you exactly how you can actually understand your partner better than you ever have before so that you can eliminate the pain that comes from these expectations. The first thing to understand here is that desire trumps expectations almost all of the time. Desires trump expectations almost all of the time. And this isn't just in relationships. It's in your business, it's in your health, it's any goal you set. I guarantee throughout your life, there are things you have wanted to achieve. You want to make more money in your business. You want your wife to give you more lovemaking and sex. You want to have a life free of arguments. You want things, right? When you come home, you expect the house to be looked after. You expect your employees to know what they're doing. You expect the world to be a certain way. Now, expectations set you up for failure. Expectations set you up for disappointment. The only time that you can actually have expectations is expectations of yourself. Because by definition, any single time you rely on someone or something outside of you to meet your expectations, it's not within your control. And you've probably realized by now that not everyone operates the same way that you do. If you're a high performance man, if you're a hard working man, if you grind and hustle, if you work hard in a business, you know what this is all about. People don't operate on your level. So when you expect the world to operate a certain way, when you expect your partner to operate a certain way, or your children, then you're gonna be met with disappointment because they're not gonna think, feel, and act the same way that you do. Expectations set you up for disappointment. Expectations set you up for failure. You might be thinking, well, Tony, that's not fair. I expect my partner to be a certain level. She can't just be a slob and do nothing. I get that. But if you can replace expectations with desires, now there isn't an attachment to an outcome. When you have a desire, I desire my wife to meet my needs. I desire her to do the things I would like her to do around the house. I desire her to look after us. I desire her to make me feel understood. But if she doesn't do that, I'm not expecting it. It doesn't have to happen. I'd like for it to happen, but because I detach the expectation and turn it into a desire, now I'm in a position where I can actually be emotionally detached from the outcome. And this is difficult to do. It doesn't mean you drop your standards. It doesn't mean you expect nothing. There are things you can expect, but if you do expect anything in life, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. The second point here is putting your cards on the table. So often we don't do this as modern day men, and we don't do this in our relationships. We just expect, there's that word again, we expect our partner to do everything. This happens a lot when you have children in a relationship. You expect your partner to look after the kids, to cook, and to clean. But we don't sit down and have a conversation about these expectations before they happen. When Rosie and I were gonna have our daughter Talia, we sat down and I said, look, I would love your support with looking after the house, cooking, cleaning, because I'm gonna be grinding for our family. I'm gonna be making money. I'm gonna be providing. Now, most of us do this, but we don't sit down with our partner. We just expect them to know that's what we're doing. We expect them to know we're tired at the end of the day. We expect them to know what's going on in our head. It's called mind reading. It doesn't exist. No one can do it. So sitting down and having a conversation with your partner and leading from empathy. Literally asking your wife or your partner, what do you expect from me as a modern day man? What do you expect from me in terms of work? What do you expect from me in terms of time? How much time do you want me to be around? What do you expect from me in terms of the quality of that time? What do you expect from me in terms of how I treat you, how I communicate with you? It's okay for her to have expectation. And once you've got everything that she wants from you, you might realize there are things you're doing and things you're not doing that don't match her expectation. Now you get to also, once this happens, share your expectations or desires. Say, cool, I would love your support with looking after the house. Not saying I need you or I expect you to look after the house. Now, this is where it gets a bit tricky because you think, well, it's not fair. How come she can have expectations and I can't? Because as a man, it's easy to be a victim and go, she doesn't understand me. How can she? How can she understand what you're going through if you run a business? If you work hard for your family? No one understands what it's like to be a man unless you're a man. You can identify as a man, but unless you're really a man and you know what it's like to grind and hustle and work hard, there's this deep pressure within you. And how can you expect your wife or your partner to understand that if they're not grinding and going through that same pressure? So put your cards out on the table. Rosie and I did this. She shares with me that she wants me to support with Talia. She wants me to take her to bed a few times a week, my daughter. She wants me to bathe her. She wants some alone time each and every week. And we put our cards on the table, and there are many moments where these expectations aren't met. These desires aren't met, right? This is where the third point comes in. That is to be malleable. To be malleable means it's easy to mold. A malleable human has desires. Sometimes he has expectations. And when those expectations and desires aren't met, he's able to move around and not get triggered or angry because his desires weren't achieved. As an example, let's say one of your desires is your wife to give you sex twice a week. It sounds horrible saying give you sex, but let's say just to have sex twice a week. For Rosie and I, the standard is once a week. It happens more frequently. So one of my expectations or desires is the sex. It doesn't happen. I don't then get angry at her. I go, cool, what am I gonna do? I'll go jack off, right? My desire is that she cooks and cleans, but she's exhausted on a Wednesday night. I go downstairs, I'm like, you know what? How about I help with the cooking tonight? The initial thought is to get triggered and upset, but to be malleable is to identify that trigger and go, you know what? Why don't I just help these expectations be met on my own? Why don't I support these desires by doing something about it? Why don't I move forward by actually being malleable and moldable instead of rigid in my routines? And this leads to the fourth point, which is to surrender control. I think as high-performing men, I know with myself and a lot of my clients, like we're control freaks. I don't know about you. I want to constantly be in control of my relationship. I want my wife to be a certain way. And when she's not that way, I judge her, and that's my own shit. That's not her shit. That's my own shit within me that I get to work on, that I get to work through. And it's so easy to allocate blame on her when in reality, it's my expectations, not hers, that aren't being met, right? So surrendering control is very similar to being malleable. You're surrendering control of the outcome, you're surrendering control of the situation, and you're not just allowing things to be. If your relationship isn't working, if you're arguing, if you're triggered at each other, then you get to work on that. But you don't get to think that you're always going to be in control. There are going to be times where you get to surrender control, whether it's in your business or your relationship, so that you can actually achieve what you want, which is harmony and peace. Because think about it, if you're always in control, then you can't switch off. If you're always in control, then you can't be present. If you're always in control, you can't really be at peace because you've always got to be on. Sometimes it pays in a relationship to just surrender control and just say to yourself, it is what it is. But taking it a step further, it is what I choose for it to be. An expectation isn't met in your relationship? Fuck, that's not fun. It is what it is. It's what I choose for it to be. I choose the meaning behind this. I don't have to control the meaning. I can choose what I want. And that power of choice over control allows you to live in a place of peace in your relationship. Ultimately, if you do these first four things, you turn your expectations in your relationship into desires. You put all your cards on the table with you and your partner. Hey, this is how it is. Like this is what you want from me. This is what you desire. This is what I desire from you. Let's come together and see if we're actually doing this each and every week. And then you're malleable. You understand there are going to be times where your desires aren't going to be met. And that's okay because you surrender control. And when your desires aren't met, you consciously choose. You make a decision, a fucking choice. I'm choosing to be okay with it. Not only am I choosing to be okay with this, I'm going to choose to grow from it. I'm going to choose to make my relationship better. Which leads us to the fifth and final point, probably the most important one, which is walking a day in the shoes, right? This is an exercise to finish this video off. You don't want to miss this. That Rosie and I did about a month ago, and it changed our life. It means that I can work harder in the business and provide for my family. And it also means she understands me. Because ultimately, unmet expectations in a relationship or in life or in business, they come down to one thing. They come down to a lack of understanding. If you're expecting your partner to do things and she doesn't do them, clearly there's something going on for her. But if you get angry at her, that means you don't understand what's going on for her. If your partner expects you to act a certain way and you're going, I work hard, what more do you want from me? What's the point? Give me a break. And that means she doesn't understand you. So a very powerful exercise that you can do that will change your life. It changed my life forever. And do this, right? Is take 10 minutes, close your eyes, and try and visualize an entire day in your partner's shoes. For Rosie and I, it's very, very difficult for me to do that because I don't get up every night. I don't feed my daughter 3 times a day, right? But I did this. I imagined her waking up at 2 a.m, the baby's crying, and she doesn't want to get out of bed. I hate not getting out of bed. So I visualize her like crawling out of bed. She doesn't want to, but she does it every fucking night. Then I visualize her breastfeeding, and I'm trying to step into her shoes. I'm trying to be her, which is hard because I don't have breasts. And then from there, I'm visualizing her crawling back into bed, and then her alarm goes off. And you know when your alarm goes off and you feel like you just went to sleep? That's what it feels like for her. And she has to get out of bed and the baby's crying. And then she doesn't want to do anything today. She wants to relax and watch Netflix, but she can't switch off. So she's going through her day. Then I come downstairs at 9 a.m. and I judge her because she slept in, because that's what I do. Because sometimes I'm an asshole. It's not intentional. I'm working on it, right? But I'm a high performance man. I project my shit onto her. I expect her to do a certain thing. So I'm trying to feel what's in her body of her feeling that judgment from me. And she's already overwhelmed and tired. And then the person who's supposed to love her more than anything is now judging her. And then at the end of she goes through her day feeding Talia. Talia's throwing food everywhere. She just wants to relax. She can't. And then at the end of the day, I come downstairs and the first thing I say to her is, did you get those things done today? Imagine the stress for your wife or your partner hearing that. Now, your story might be different, but try and go through a day in your partner's shoes. And Rosie did the same for me, and it changed our relationship forever. She visualized waking up at 5 a.m. and going for a run, even though I don't want to. She visualized working with so many men whose marriages are breaking down and whose businesses are falling apart and who are stressed out and triggered. She felt what it was like to be on all the time and then to go downstairs and to see the person you love not fully committed. And she was able to tell me my story. So the exercise is simple. It really is, but it requires time. Try and step into your partner's shoes for a day. It takes you 10 minutes to go through the whole day, and ask your partner to do the same thing. And then come together at the end of this exercise and share with your partner what you experienced, what you felt, and the thoughts that went through your head as each other. And it's such a powerful exercise. Because what it will do is it will give you the understanding of each other, and then you'll know that sometimes when your expectations aren't met, your desires aren't met, that there's a reason for that, because you understand what makes that person tick. You understand who they really are. This is the formula. It's really, really simple. Turn your expectations into desires, put your cards on the table, be malleable, surrender control, and then walk a day in their shoes and do this exercise, and it will change your life forever. So I hope this adds some value to you. If it does, make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe. And I'd love to know in the comments down below, have you ever had any issues with understanding your partner or feeling understood? And have you ever had any issues with unmet expectations in your relationship or in your life? Drop a comment down below and let me know. And if you'd like to be a part of our inner circle and join one of our programs as one of our clients, there'll be a link down below showing you how to find work-life balance, fix your marriage, and become a better man for your family. So go check that out as well. It's also something really important. Expectations are just one part of the equation. Communication's another part. So if you don't have communication, everything's screwed. There's going to be a video up here you can watch on 3 lethal communication mistakes that happen in relationships. So give that a watch right now to make sure you're not making those mistakes. But we never have a conversation about this. We didn't do this before we got married. I know Rosie and I didn't. Hey, when we have a kid, it would be really awesome if you could look after the house and do these things. No, these are unset expectations.